This is my persuasion speech. The title is Homosexuality is Not a Choice. These are my notes. In choosing this topic, my goal is to try to eliminate some of the prejudice that exists against the LGBT community and to persuade the audience, you all, into understanding that gay people are born gay. It's not a choice. My second-born daughter is gay. She's a married lesbian. She was raised in a church, and she was told by the church that homosexuality is a sin and that you're going to go to hell if you don't change your ways. That definitely drove her down a self-destructive path. I want everyone to know that universally, the same-sex attractions, the percentage of suicide attempts is very high. The acceptance and understanding that she was born gay saved her and my family. First, I'm going to explain some of the research that's been done, and then I would like to walk you through some of the neuromarkers and the genetic markers that indicate the differences between heterosexual and homosexuals and why we are born with our sexual orientation already established. Next, we're going to explore reasons for prejudice leading to the gay rights struggle and concluding with the ideas that would help prevent prejudice against the LGBTQ community. Genetic and neuroscience plays an influential role in the discoveries that help us understand how human brains develop. These discoveries help us to comprehend that our behavior is connected to specific genetics, hormonal factors, anatomic and chemicals that develop in utero. Dr. Simon LeVay wrote a book titled Gay, Straight, and Reasons Why, The Science of Sexual Orientation, and he revealed in his research that the INAH3 nerve bundle in the hypothalamus is the brain region in charge of regulating our sexual orientation in utero and establishing us as gay or straight. And Dr. LeVay found that the homosexual male, INAH3, is very much smaller than the heterosexual male. This is the picture of our brain. This is the hypothalamus and the INAH nerve bundle. Claire Bryson's article, The Neuroanatomy of Homosexuality, studied postmortem brains and discovered the male and female sexual dysmorphism regions of the brain and hormone levels. As our brain develops, we start out as female, and the contribution of male androgenic and steroid hormone testosterone masculinize the brain, reinforcing the neuronal pattern that correlate to development of our sexual orientation. In the article Search Orientation Related Differences in Cortical Thickness in Male Individuals, using an MRI on 61 homosexual and heterosexual men, reflect yet another marker for the development differences in the brain regions. Christoph Abe and colleagues found structural differences in the cortical thickness of the brain that relate to sexual orientation. Homosexual males and heterosexual females were found to have thinner corticals. In the article Sexual Orientation, Fraternal Birth Order, and the Maternal Immune Hypothesis, Ray Blanchard and Anthony Bogert have studied how birth order affects the testosterone levels of the fetus. The research suggests that in some cases a pregnant mother could develop an immune effect, and what that means is there's an increase with each male fetus that she carries to the hormone testosterone. This hormone is important to the development of a male fetus and ties the sexual orientation at the core of development in the hypothalamus. If the mother continues to conceive males, she increases the likelihood that her body may reject the testosterone, and this could contribute to the chances of the fetus developing an SSA, same-sex attraction. So essentially, the higher the number of older biological brothers a male has, the higher his propensity of being born gay with an SSA. Genetically and physically differences, Dr. Hammer made a genetic discovery in the H chromosome, Q28 region. There was a duplicate He was working for the National Cancer Institute, and Dr. Hammer studied 40 pairs of gay brothers, and 33 pairs shared the same genetic duplication. This is what the genetic duplication looks like. Finding the gender atypical traits of gay people for detection of sexual orientation, or gaydar. It's an article written by Minya Lyons and colleagues. She researched and found that there are gender atypical traits of gay people. The body ratio, limb length to trunk, the digital length, and there is definitely a shift between homosexual men and women. Also, cognitive trait gendered shifts in many aspects include verbal fluency. Gender shifts are also significant in personalities such as masculinity, aggressiveness, and empathy. These are just a few of the studies that have been done, and there's definitely not been enough studies done in this regard. But together they have inspired much more research and understanding these connections and how we develop into left-handed people, blue-eyed people, dark-skinned people, or people with the same-sex attraction. The prejudice toward gay people, I'd like to talk about Evelyn Hooker. She was a psychologist and considered the mother of homosexuality, the homosexuality movement, often bringing to light the prejudice against the community. She was the first to establish that there is no psychological difference between heterosexuals and homosexuals. She argued with the advancement of psychiatry that homosexuality is normal and not a mental disorder. She charged them with homophobia, irrational fear of homosexuality, as it's coined that today. Her work was instrumental in the removal of homosexuality in the DSM, and it was considered a mental disorder. This is what the DSM looks like. It's the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, and that is actually what psychologists use as the parameter to diagnose their patients. So my question would be, if it's a choice, is it like schizophrenia? Schizophrenia is a choice if it's in the DSM. Dr. Sakali, in an article, Application of the Attribution Value Model of Prejudice to Homosexuality. In this study, they determined that we are taught to be prejudiced to gays and lesbians in our culture. By establishing a prejudice against a group of people based on the attributions of controllability and their cultural values. So if your culture looks down on you and believes that you're gay because you choose to be gay, then the whole community is going to believe that. And that's how you establish the Crandall and Martinez attribution value model of prejudice. This invokes emotions that establish a social psychological prejudice against a community by establishing that it's a choice. The gay rights struggle is the latest great civil struggle, with over 175 countries still openly discriminated against the LGBT community and 76 countries that have laws against homosexuality, some even punishable by death. Prejudice should never exist because of love. Genetics and neurobiological growth produce our looks and sexual orientation. Our culture has been under siege by people who believe that gay people choose to be gay. The LGBTQ community faces discrimination at every turn in their life. No one would choose to live that way. There are people out there who actually believe that homosexuality is comparative to child molestation, and there are those who believe that is a sin. I believe that educating is the avenue to overcoming our prejudice to gay people. Understanding why we form prejudice will help us internalize the reason, examine it, and hopefully change. To be truly diverse as a culture, we must embrace one another with compassion, love, and understanding. We cannot judge one another, but we must accept each other as we were created, whether that be male, female, black, white, right-handed, left-handed, gay. Results from these studies offer examples of the many ways we are created differently. There is no question that genetics produces our looks and plays a part in much of our human behavior, as the neurosciences and biological studies have shown. These studies are just beginning to reveal the biological influences on sexual orientation. Evidence science is uncovering right now links human behavior as developing with us as we're growing in the womb. Our behavior is influenced by our hormones, genetics, anatomic and chemical factors, including our sexual orientation. Thank you very much.